My name is Stephanie Emmons. I've been on the school board for 3.5 years. I'm the current school board president. I have a 7th grader at Frank Lloyd Wright Intermediate. With us today is Deidre Raymer, who is our Director of Leadership and Learning. Part of one of the things you'll see today is how we've reorganized, and so I'm still working through the titles as well. But Deidre and I will be here to do the presentation. We have various district admin staff here as well, so thank you for coming. So the reason we're here today comes down to this question. What happens when a school district faces significant financial challenges, which many of you remember? We have declining student achievement, declining enrollment, complete transition of senior leadership team, but at the same time, teachers and principals remain committed and focused to kids and want to start trying new things. And that's what we're going to review today. So our agenda for today, and again, we're going to keep this within an hour to be respectful of your time, is who are we? What is the West Allis West Milwaukee School District? How are we doing with our employee engagement? How are we doing financially? I know that's the reason a lot of you came today. What's next for our school facilities? How are we working to increase student achievement across the district? And how are we supporting the social and emotional health of our students and our families? The West Allis West Milwaukee School District has a very specific vision of what we're trying to accomplish and what we strive to accomplish every day. So in partnership with family and community, we will foster personal excellence and lifelong learning for all of our students. And that's a key piece, is for all of our students. We are inclusionary. Our mission in the West Allis West Milwaukee School District develops inquiry-driven independent learners through instruction that's personalized and engaging, with a focus on college and career readiness and 21st century skill development. And again, that part is red because that is important as well. That is what we are working and striving for every single day. So who are we? What is the West Allis West Milwaukee School District? We have 11 elementary schools, 3 intermediate, and 4 high schools. Our schools are located in West Allis, West Milwaukee, New Berlin, and we also have a very small section of the city of Greenfield where their students attend our district as well. The West Allis West Milwaukee School District is currently the 12th largest district in the state of Wisconsin. What do our students look like? Who comes in our buildings every single day? You can see the demographic breakdown there. You will see that 14% of our students have disabilities. Almost 3% of our students are English language learners. And over 53% of our students are economically disadvantaged. This is what we work with every single day. That graph, or the stat up in the top right, last year our district served 133 students who are homeless and in transition. What does our school district enrollment look like? You may have seen this graph if you came to the meetings a couple years ago, but you can see that across the last few years our enrollment has gone up, and then our enrollment has gone down. And this is the same trajectory as many school districts across our state. If you check the state DPI website, you'll see that enrollment across the state of Wisconsin is down. Most school districts are losing students. Families aren't having as many kids, families are moving, kids are aging out of the system, and there's not new students to replace them. So you will see that this trend is not just unique to West Allis, West Milwaukee, but it is something that we do have to look at. The last 4 years, our school district enrollment has gone down. So that causes lots of other ripple effect, buildings, staff, resources. The West Allis West Milwaukee School District and the school board made a decision a few years ago to start limiting open enrollment. And open enrollment is where a student does not reside inside the West Allis West Milwaukee School District boundary, but wants to attend our schools. So we made a very specific policy change a few years ago that limits the amount of open enrollment seats that we can offer to students. And most of the time that is leveled at a certain grade level. So we're not creating new classrooms just to accommodate open enrollment students, but rather we're filling existing classrooms with seats that we just have open. So we already have staff, we already have the resources available. We're not looking to create new classrooms just to accommodate more kids. And that's helped with our budget picture as well. But this has also contributed to our declining enrollment. If we don't enroll as many students, we don't open new seats to other districts, other students, enrollment's going to continue to go down too. If our district enrollment continues to go down and we allow less students in from open enrollment, overall you saw that trend of what our school district overall enrollment looks like. So one of the things we did this last year was we asked families who chose to enroll their students in other districts who reside here, why are you choosing to send your child to another district? Why not West Allis, West Milwaukee? And there's some real interesting items here. So you see the things that are blue, that are the longest lines of blue on the left, those were the things that were very important to the people who were taking the survey. Now this is specific to elementary and middle school parents. So the things that were important for them to send their children to other districts, they looked at things like quality of teaching, school staff, and school location. Now what we found was that of those 755 total respondents of this survey, 554 of them currently attend Milwaukee Public Schools. And of those, 332 have never attended a school in our district. So it says a couple things to us. One, maybe these families lived in another district early on and their child started to attend school somewhere else. They move into our district and they chose to keep their students in that school. They were comfortable, they didn't want to make change. They felt that the quality of staff at their child's current school was adequate and that's where they wanted to stay. We also have to look at things like specialty schools. MPS is rich with different kinds of specialty schools that our district doesn't offer. So perhaps families found opportunities to have their children go to a language immersion or a STEM school or a Montessori school that they thought was a better fit for their child. One of the things we thought was interesting was that parents didn't utilize or didn't think that the neighborhood school initiative was a reason to not send their children here. There was a lot of pushback when we went to the neighborhood schools. And we thought, well, maybe there are some families who didn't want to send their children to their neighborhood school. But at the elementary and middle school level, this was almost not a factor. Now we look at the respondents for high school. So again, you'll see we had 245 respondents, and of those, 114 attend Milwaukee Public Schools. So we're kind of thinking same thing. They probably lived in the district before, they kept their kids at that school, they moved, they wanted their kids to finish, or they're looking for a specialty. Rufus King, Riverside, School of Languages, there's different opportunities in Milwaukee that we don't have specialties for. But one of the things that was important to us to note was right in the middle there, they didn't like their neighborhood high school. That's a problem, because both of our comprehensive high schools are pretty great. And then I'm going to turn this over to Deidre to go through our finances and academics and our strategic plan.
Good morning, everyone. As Stephanie said, I'm Deidre Raymer. I'm the Director of Leadership and Learning for the school district. A few years ago when Marty came on as our superintendent, one of the things that was really important to him to do with our district and with our school board was to develop a strategic plan. And a strategic plan is a 5-year guide that informs you of what you're going to be working on and what are the priorities of your school district. So our strategic plan has 4 building blocks inside of it. The first one is college and career readiness. The goal of that building block in the strategic plan is that our students develop personal excellence in college and career readiness across multiple measures and pathways. So that's where our academic achievement, some of our student supports, our increase in attendance, those goals all fall under that area of our strategic plan. Another area of our strategic plan is service to our stakeholders and community. And so that one, the prime goal is that our parents, students, staff, and community are engaged in achieving a shared vision of excellence. So one of the things under that particular building block is doing things like we're doing today, is sharing a bit about what the work that we're doing in the school district, some of the things that are going well, some of the challenges that we're facing going forward, and get a greater opportunity for the community to provide some input and some feedback into those challenges and some of the goals that we have going forward. Employee engagement and culture is another one of our building blocks, and that is the one where we work to retain current staff. We want to make sure that we don't have as high of a staff turnover as we used to, and I'll share some data about how we're doing in that area. As we go forward, we want to make sure that we're communicating with staff, that we're developing effective relationships, and that we provide professional development to our teachers and to our leaders that's appropriate to the work that we're trying to do and the goals of the plan. And then the last building block is financial stability and efficiency. That's where we spend a majority of our time the first year of the strategic plan, because we needed to equitably align some of our resources. We knew at that time our finances needed some work, and we needed to get them back in shape. So we're currently in the third year of the strategic plan. The first year, the prime focus was around our finances and getting our financial position back to good standing. The last year in our strategic plan, a lot of our focus is around supporting some mental health initiatives for our students and our families, much like many of the districts across the state of Wisconsin. And this year, our real focus is around trying to figure out what classrooms need to be for all of our students. So how do we push into some new learning space for students to engage them at high levels? And as Stephanie shared, some of the specialty schools that are going on in our area, how do we make sure that we're providing some of those opportunities to our students as well? Employee engagement. So that is a survey that we give to our staff twice a year, and so the staff gets opportunities to answer questions on whether or not they feel we're using our resources well, are they engaged in their work as an employee, and one of the strategies in there is to get feedback from staff on some things that are going well and some things that we need to work on in order to make some plans going forward within the work that we do, and to make sure that our teacher turnover rate was reduced. We had a large teacher exodus a number of years ago. There was a big article in the Journal Sentinel on it, that we had a significant number of teachers leaving us all in one fell swoop, and it was important to us to make sure that our teacher turnover rate went down. So you can see on the slide, in 2016, we lost 13.47% of our teaching staff. We made a goal within the strategic plan to get that under 12%, and we are, as of last year, we are under 12% already. So we've met that goal within the strategic plan. It is expected in the area, and with current teaching staff, the districts sort of assume about a 10% turnover each year. So we're getting pretty close to that with the 11.94. We feel pretty good about that number, but we're gonna continue to work on strategies to retain quality staff within our district. And then employee engagement. So that's that measure of that survey that we give out each year. And you can see the scores. We had 3.79 was the average in 2016, and in 2018 it was 3.76. So we took a bit of a dip in 2017. And then we're working on strategies around that. At each school site, staff take that, as well as we get one for the whole district so that we can see how we're doing as a measure. As I shared, we spent a lot of our time that first year in our focus on finance. And finances are still obviously a very large portion of the work that we do every day. We want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible to our community. We want to make sure that we're using the resources that are provided to us in the most efficient way possible. And we want to make some strategic plans to make sure that what happened to us a few years ago never happens again in our school district. And so that's a lot of the work that's been done over the course of the last 3 years and will continue to happen as we go forward. You can see that the 2017 mill rate was $10.99. This year, that's been reduced to $9.54. You can see the history of the tax levy in the graphic on the screen. So the mill rate is applied to each $1,000 of equalized property value for residents within the boundaries of the West Allis West Milwaukee School District, and as Stephanie shared, that includes parts of New Berlin and parts of Greenfield as well. The total property tax levy for 2018 was $41,769,015. That was the tax levy that was voted upon by the school board within the annual budget for this year. As you look at the fund balance, so our fund balance is sort of a savings account. It's what you want to make sure you have in the bank. It keeps your bond rating good, so you're not doing short-term borrowing at a high rate, which is currently still a challenge for us as a school district. The goal for a district of our size with the budget that we have would be to sit somewhere right in that $20 million mark. And so as you can see, it is not typical to see that much dip, ebb and flow in that number, and our goal is to get that number to stay relatively stable unless there's some reason for a dip, like you're able to purchase a property or you're able to renovate property, you have a significant purchase as a school district. That's the only time you should really see that kind of dip. The low point in the finances is the year that Dr. Lexman came in as the superintendent, and then you can see we're kind of on a steady upswing from there. Again, the goal would be to have that number be somewhere at around $20 million. That's a safe and secure spot for us. Right now, we're spending about $1 million a year in short-term borrowing because we didn't have a fund balance that was secure. And so that's a number that we obviously want to get back into classrooms and into the operating budget, so that's something that we're continuing to work on. As we work on some of the things that we've done to create that situation where our fund balance was heading back in the right direction was the sale of some properties. We sold the old Roosevelt School, which has now been redeveloped into a beautiful facility that contributes back into our community and provides some resources to families and community members within our community. We rented out some properties that we owned, as many of you are aware. We've fiscally tightened our budgets. We've restructured a lot of things in order to make sure that we can operate at the most efficient way possible within the district. And the next thing that's going to have an impact on those finances is the potential sale when we close the building on South 70th Street. So that's a property that we own as the district. When that and the adjacent parking lot, it would be currently on an offer for $7.25 million, and that would allow us to put money back into that fund balance and get us back where we need to go. However, if that sale completes and finishes and finalizes, then it has a potential to increase that tax mill rate one more time before our finances actually go back to being predictable and stable going into the future. So it's important for our community to understand that that's a potential thing that could happen going forward. How do we spend our money as a school district? So you can see in the way that our budget is built that a large majority of our funds go into Fund 10. That's a general operating fund. Fund 27 is our monies that we have dedicated and are required by law for our students with special needs. Then we have Funds 38 and 39, Fund 49, Fund 50, and Fund 80. The challenge and sometimes in school finance is if you have a surplus in one of those accounts, you can't simply move the money into the other account to take care of that. Things that are in Fund 50 need to stay in Fund 50. Things that are in Fund 80 need to stay in Fund 80. So Fund 80 is our community recreation program. And so that is where the rec center and the rec department is able to, they're gonna renovate the old rec center and be operating a new great facility for our community, and that money all comes out of Fund 80. But when Fund 80 had a surplus, you can't just take that money and put it into Fund 10 for other things. That's not how the funding in the state of Wisconsin works. But you can see the largest portion of our budget goes into Fund 10, which is operating expenses. And how we spend that money is primarily on salaries and benefits. So a great majority of that money, salaries and benefits, are the two largest pieces of that pie. So when we start to look at where we can reduce funds or how do we do that, that comes in our business at the expense of people, right? So the only way for us to put the other dollars back into the budget is by reducing staff and reducing people. And that sometimes impacts direct services to students, which is why we need to be cautious about doing that work. We did eliminate quite a few positions at our district office several years ago, which helped us again to get that fund balance back to where we needed it to be. And then we continue to reevaluate that over time. Our facilities. So about a year ago, we had a facility team that reviewed utility costs, high-risk repair needs, capital improvement of all of our district-owned facilities. So they walked a couple of the buildings, they analyzed what was in there, they looked at how old the boilers are, how much does it cost us to heat that building, how much does the electricity cost, and really spent some time analyzing the age of some of our buildings and how they're operating and how they are efficient. And they held meetings at particular buildings so that they could take a look at those buildings and then, like I said, take a tour to figure out what needed to be done within that facility. The extensive discussions trying to decide the age of the buildings, the problems with the buildings, what do we do? So we're trying to do new things in these buildings, instructionally and for students, but we're trying to do them in spaces that aren't always conducive to that because some of our buildings, as you'll see, and I think you got this in a handout, on this screen are on there. So some of our buildings, the average age of our buildings is in the 80s, and so therefore we have buildings that we're trying to do new things and innovative things with students, and the facility itself is just not equipped to do some of that work. A prime issue for that team ended up being the issue of West Allis Central High School. So West Allis Central High School has a need to reduce some flooring in the field house. It has some emergent need to reduce some of the actual facility operation in that building. The repairs and the upkeep and actually to get the entire building up to code, we had a team go and analyze how much that would cost to repair, replace, or consolidate and become a one high school school district. And the repair costs alone, just to get West Allis Central High School up to code, were well over $40 million. So we are trying to decide if that is an efficient operation or if there's something else we need to do. So that committee decided that the next steps needed to be to figure out exactly what we need to do with West Allis Central. Consolidation is something that they've talked about and considered and something that will be a further topic for us. But as our city has done some great renovation and rebranding themselves and putting up new housing, we also want to be cautious about reducing the number of schools we currently have that we then may need to reopen again in a few years as some of the housing in our area starts to get redeveloped and starts to be increased in our area. A facilities commission. So our next step when it comes to our facilities is to get some more input from our community on our facilities needs and what we need to do next with those facilities. So we would like to ask people in today's audience and people in our community if they are interested in serving on a facilities commission to start to figure out what we need to do next as a community. What would make the most sense for us as a whole school community. So we will continue to communicate with you via our website and other methods, but you have a form with you or available at the back that you can leave with Beth, our Director of Communications, if you are interested in either receiving more information or serving on that commission that helps us make some decisions about what's in the best interest of our school district and our community going forward. And then this year, like I shared, we have an exciting project going on at 2450 South 69th Street. The old recreation building is going under a pretty significant remodel. It'll house our registration services for our rec department, our department staff offices, and then space for expanded programming, including a track, facilities for all of the courses that rec offers, the amazing opportunities that we offer through rec. That project is fully funded within Fund 80 and has absolutely zero impact on the taxes. Okay, so that was all able to be done within that fund, so it is going to have no impact on property taxes at all, and it will be an incredible opportunity for our community to share in that. Our focus on achievement, so that's that college and career building block within our strategic plan. So you can see the overall school report card in Wisconsin, right? We get rated every single year, and in 2015-16 we were at 65.3. 2017-18 we were at 72.2. So we are making some very nice progress academically. In 15-16, we had several schools that were in the red on that fails to meet expectations. We now have 0 schools in the red, and we have 5 schools that hit it that exceeds expectations marker. The school district as a whole is points away from that exceeds expectation marker for us. So we're really proud of that work, and we want to see that work continue. Compared to some of our neighboring districts, how have we done over time? So the rate of change for us has been an increase of 6.9 points, which is a higher increase than any of the neighboring districts around us have had in recent years. So again, we had some room to grow when we started, but comparatively, we have other districts in our area that were in a similar boat, and we're growing at a faster rate, right? And so that's work that we're really proud of and work we want to be able to continue doing. The last column shares that free and reduced lunch number. It's a national statistic that students who come from homes of poverty just need more support when it comes to school. And so we've been able to increase academic achievement and get some of our finances in order. At the same time, we're servicing a larger number of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch than we have in years past. So what's driving our results? We talked about the strategic plan and really being focused on one big idea and one core concept that we keep going back to. The work that we do is all embedded in our strategic plan. It's right on our website. Anytime you'd like to read it and look at it, the strategies that are in there, it'll tell you what work we're trying to do this year. It'll tell you what work we want to do within the next 5 years. And it's right on the district website for anybody to see. Our next step when it comes to our academic achievement is really getting aligned around this idea of deeper learning. So we've got a quick video to show you that will share what that's all about.
If you look at the American education system today, it looks like what it looked like in 1900. We were an agrarian society transforming into an industrial society. And what we needed at that time We're lots of workers with basic skills and basic knowledge. The problem is we haven't adjusted or changed or upgraded that system as society has dramatically transformed.
Do you know how to collaborate? Do you know how to communicate? Do you know how to present? Do you know how to look at things in a critical way where you can take the real complex and make it simple? Those are real needed skills, and that's really where the demand is going to be in the future for jobs.
If we don't have the skilled workers, corporations are going to go where they have to go to get that skilled work.
The public education system really is the core mechanism that we have to deliver the skills and knowledge that kids will need to be successful in work and civic life. We're deceiving ourselves about where our education system is right now because we're looking at the wrong measures. When we begin to measure the right things, the U.S. is just not doing that well. The Program for International Student Assessment tests critical thinking in math, science, and in reading, and the U.S. does very poorly against that measure. During the last round of PISA assessments, we came in at 31 in math, a little bit higher in science and reading, but nowhere near the top performers in the world.
When I walk into classrooms today, I see too many students who are turned off. They're not excited. They don't see the relevance. When I go into other classrooms where they've begun to make this transition to deeper learning, the students have taken responsibility for their learning. They want to show you what they're doing. They know what they have to do to get to the next level, and they're motivated to get there.
The core goal of deeper learning reform is really to set a more ambitious set of goals for students that better match what we need for the global economy. These skills include the ability to think critically and solve complex problems, to work well in teams, to communicate effectively, to learn how to learn, all applied to the mastery of rigorous academic content.
The first element about deeper learning that is critical is that we change the curriculum. Students are going to have to engage in different kinds of activities that show that they can take what they know, apply it to a situation, produce a result, and defend that result as a product of their own experience. We're going to have to change our assessments to measure against these kinds of new expectations that we have for the students. Our teachers, they get excited, but then they're very quick to come back and say, I need help. So we're going to have to change our professional development processes so that our teachers are ready to move into interactions with students. When teachers see that moment when a student understands the world differently, the light goes on. That's what they're in this business to do.
If we don't change our course in education, we're doomed to mediocrity. And as long as I've been around, that's never been a trait of the United States to be mediocre.
I've been in schools all over this country that are beating the odds. Curriculum is being developed. New assessments are actually underway. They've planted their flags in these very poor communities with kids that don't often have the chance to actually be successful, and they've turned them around. There are schools where the college-going rate's nearly 100% in a community where the average is far lower than that.
We made a promise to our children that we would prepare them for the future. They're wide-eyed, they're excited, they think they can do anything. And the truth is they can, if only we as adults provide the support to make that happen.
That is that big picture of what we're trying to do. The deeper learning has 6 competencies: critical thinking and problem solving, communication, collaboration, academic mindset, how do students feel about school so that they're ready to work hard, self-directed learning, how do we create students who are able to work hard and contribute in classes and understand the meaning behind that, and then content mastery. A really important part of the work we do is students need to have the skills they need to have going forward. We're currently preparing students for jobs that haven't yet been invented. And so whereas some of our work used to be predictable because you kind of picked a career path when you were young and you went forward in that, right now we're trying to prepare students for jobs that have not yet been invented. So that means we have to teach them how to be thinkers and problem solvers, how to go out and find the problems that are in our communities and our world and help them understand that they actually have the skills to solve those. So that is the overarching umbrella on some of the academic work we're doing next. It looks different at each of the school sites. So each school site has the capacity within there to decide what's best for that learning community, for the families, for the businesses in that area, for the students that are in that school, and they design a plan around what best meets the needs of those learners in that community based on that overarching competency. So this is a few examples of what that's starting to look like in our schools. This is Mitchell Elementary, and we had some students who said they didn't love their learning space inside their school, and could they build an outdoor classroom? And so the principal said, sure, you can build an outdoor classroom, but I need you to figure out exactly what that's gonna look like and what kind of permits you would need to do that, and I need you to work with our facilities department, and 5th graders did that. They went out and planned this entire outdoor facility. They built it, a chunk of it themselves. Now, where all those students are standing, there's huge sunflowers, and they're starting to use those in some of their science experiments. The students in this school created a garden, and Sodexo is starting. Our food service is starting to use some herbs that they're growing in some of our food. So that's what it ended up looking like at Mitchell. At Central High School, we have students doing a ton of investigation. This happens to be in a science class, which is normally where you'd see that. But what they're trying to do is recreate the conditions of acid rain. As this particular class, they're trying to figure out how they might grow things indoors, some hydroponic farming. So that's some of the work that they're doing there, and doing an investigation around that. At Frank Lloyd Wright, they took their deeper learning community, which is a flexible learning community where students sort of design their own path to their learning. And those students really wanted to take what was a celebration of Veterans Day and make sure that they really started to understand the historical thinking behind veterans and their experience. So they had actual veterans come in, they had them bring artifacts, students asked them all kinds of questions about that experience, and they were able to take that learning back into the classroom when that event was over. At Franklin Elementary, they recently had their first showcase of student-developed projects. So on that top right, I know you can't read it from here, but students started to say, what are the problems we anticipate in the West Allis community in the next 5 years, and what are things that we could do as 2nd and 3rd graders to start to solve those problems? That's the kind of learning we want students doing in our schools. How do they be contributors to our greater community when they leave us? Because they understand their impact. And then you can see the group of students who are presenting their projects to the community. At Franklin Elementary, there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. They had about 70% of their families that came into the school to watch the showcase, which was a huge participation for them at that event. And then this is how at Dockey High School that they've decided to interpret those competencies. They have an initiative around Own It, where students are taking responsibility for their own behavior, their own actions, their own academics, their own future. And they have turned each of the competencies into a theme kind of along that way. So for academic mindset, it means students have to want it, their own education and their own future. For how they work on problem solving, they want to improve it. And you can see those banners that hang down their hallway every day, and then that's how they've decided to focus their work there. Another element to us, like I said last year, a big focus in our strategic plan was the whole child. How are we really looking at our students and making sure that they're in a space where they can learn and grow academically? And one of the ways is to be sure that they're healthy. So this year we were able, without a cost to the district or to the taxpayers, provide free dental care to students. So there's actually a company that will come into, they bring a mobile dental unit up to a school and provide dental care to our students. We have mental health services from Professional Services Group and St. A's. Both of those mean that students have access to individual and private therapy at school through their insurance or through their private funding. That's again, the individual therapy is at no cost to the school district. It just meant we had to in-kind trade so that we could remove the barriers for some of our students to get access to mental health care. And then we have a trauma team that goes out and responds to students who have been experiencing situations of trauma. We work really closely with our West Allis and West Milwaukee police departments on understanding when traumatic things happen to students in our community, and then having supports and responses to them for them in schools. As far as making our schools safe, we received both elements of the Wisconsin Department of Justice safety grants. So that's allowing us to build some physically safer buildings and working on some of our entrances to be sure they're secure. It's providing some mental health training for our staff, and then it's also allowing us an opportunity to explore doing some more student risk assessments so we can be sure that our community is safe. We want students engaged in their work, so we do a lot of work around restorative practices, which again is about making sure that the student understands the impact of their own learning and their own behavior. We want our students self-directed. We want them taking responsibility for themselves and their own academic outcomes. And we want them to feel a sense of belonging so that they work hard. Under supported, we have multi-tiered systems of support for both academics and behavior. So if a student is struggling in a school, a team of people meets to figure out what resources they have in the school that could help support that student. And then we also do social emotional learning lessons from kindergarten through 12th grade. As far as challenging our students, we really want to push into this space of making sure we're enriching that student experience. So instead of just focusing on students who are struggling, we also want to make sure we're focusing on students who need to accelerate their learning. So this year we have our gifted and talented staff doing a lot of co-teaching in classrooms to make sure the enrichment experience is there for all students across the elementary level. We've added some new courses at our high school. We'll have our agriculture pathway for the first time as a school district, where we'll be offering agriculture as a class at our high schools. We have a new audio-visual class for students who want to learn to become disc jockeys in response to what students were proposing to us as careers that they may want to explore. And it's the first year in many years that we've had to add sections of advanced math at our high school. So we had been adding a lot of sections of our remedial math, and we've turned the tide on that. And so this was 2 years ago. We weren't even going to need to offer an advanced math course section at one of our high schools, and now we actually needed to offer 2. By second semester, it's looking like we may need to offer even more advanced math to our students. So that's work that we're continuing to push into. Some of our challenges going forward is to continue to increase student achievement. We are very pleased with our scores where they are, but we are not satisfied yet. So we are going to keep working into that space to increase student achievement and close achievement gaps for all of our students. We want to improve our career and technical education facilities and offerings. We want to have a good response to student behavior needs in the classrooms. And we want to make sure that we're focusing around an equitable opportunity for all of our students. So a statistic that we're paying attention to right now is one similar to the one at the bottom, where in 2017, of all students who failed a high school math class, we had 30% of students who failed a high school math class. 41% of our students who are African American failed a high school math class. So given the fact that they only make up a smaller percentage of our population, that's not a statistic that we're comfortable with. And so that's work that we're pushing into and paying more attention to as we go forward.
All right, so we will begin the process of wrapping up. And so we're going to go back to this question here. What happens when a school district faces significant financial challenges, declining student achievement and enrollment, complete transition of our senior leadership team, but at the same time, teachers and principals remain committed and focused on kids and want to start trying new things? It improves. That's a path we're very proud of. And it's one that we're, as Deidre said, that we are pleased with, but not satisfied with. We are very close to that exceeding expectation mark, and it is our hope that when we come back to see you next year, that this will be even higher and we'll have an even better story to tell.
So we wanted
Hello and welcome to the Walker News Network. My name is Emily and this is Aiden.
Thank you, Emily. We have some breaking news out of Walker Elementary. There is a self-control outbreak that is spreading rapidly.
Students all over the school have been infected with this contagious success skill. Side effects include being in control of your emotions, increasing your chance of success, and having more focus.
I'm getting word now that we have an interview with one of these students. Let's go live to Team Persistence.
Thanks, Aiden. I'm here live with Madeline in Team Persistence. Madeline, welcome to the show. Can you tell us about a time you used self-control?
I just sit down and be quiet.
That's a great way to show self-control. How did that make you feel?
Good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madeline. Let's go back to the studio with some more breaking news.
That's the last of it. Oh. Thanks, Dimitri. We were just told that there's more self-control being shown in Team Respect.
Our field reporter George is now on the scene now with more.
Thank you, Emily. This self-control is spreading faster than we predicted. I'd like you to welcome Chloe to the show. How have you been showing self-control?
I've been sitting on the carpet and listening to the teacher.
Wow, that's really cool to hear. How did doing that make you feel?
Happy?
That's great. This self-control thing is really catching on here at Walker. Wait, this is starting to get out of control. I'm told that Team Diversity also has a case of self-control. Spencer is there now with the story.
Thank you, Georgia. This is really incredible. Brandon from Team Diversity has also been infected and showing self-control in his classroom. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So I was failing in the stream box lesson. That's about measurement. So it was frustrating. I took a deep breath and counted to 10 and I felt calm.
The amount of self-control we're seeing here at Walker is amazing. How do you feel and why?
I felt good when I used self-control. I felt relaxed.
It seems as though more and more students are coming down with self-control at Walker. Aiden, I don't know what's in this water at Walker, but we need to bottle it and sell it.
Whatever it is, it's H2 awesome.
Veronica is on the scene right now with Team Integrity for another case that's just been reported.
Thank you, Emily. Just when we thought this outbreak was over, we found Gwen. Gwen, can you tell us how you've been showing self-control?
I've been showing self-control by when the teachers told me not to eat the birthday tree, I didn't eat it, and it made me feel happy because the birthday girl had it first.
Well, I guess it's true what they say. Good behavior is contagious. Word has come that this has spread to Excellence East, where Frankie is live with more.
Thank you, Veronica. I can't believe how quickly this is spreading. We're here in Excellence East with Mac. Mac, how is this success skill affecting you?
Well, it's affecting me by I'm not sitting by my friends. I'm getting more work done. I'm being a bit more responsible, which is nice, so I'm not leaving everything all over the place. And the best part is I can get more work done, so the teachers aren't complaining that my work isn't done.
This sounds like this infection is doing more good than harm. Mac, are you noticing any other examples in your classroom?
Absolutely. I've also noticed other classmates with symptoms. They've been raising their hands to speak, walking quietly in the hallways, and they are even staying focused on their work.
That is truly amazing. Thank you for joining me today, but we have reached a full-blown outbreak. This has also affected Excellence West and has now reached every team in the building. Mikhail is live with yet another student.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Now I'm here live with TJ. Thank you for joining us today.
It was a pleasure.
Can you explain to the viewers what this success skill has done to you?
Oh, it's been great at Walker, man. Once when I was playing football, I got pushed by this kid, but instead of retaliating, I used all 4, 7, 8 breathing, inspired by Miss Brunel, our counselor.
Thank you. I think what we are seeing here at Walker is nothing short of a miracle. TJ, do you have any advice for the people that are watching out there right now?
Yes, if you want to feel good about yourself and keep your emotions in check, make sure you come to Walker where the self-control is contagious and the students are safe, responsible, and respectful.
Thank you again for sharing with us today. It was a pleasure. Now we'll head back to the studio with Emily and Aiden for some final thoughts.
Thank you, Mikhail. Educators saying that this is the worst outbreak they have seen in decades.
I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll see self-control here at Walker. I think this is here to stay. I'm actually starting to feel a little different myself.
Are you okay, Aiden?
I don't know. I suddenly feel like I need to do my schoolwork instead of playing Fortnite tonight.
If that's the case, then I'm sure this is serious.
Okay, I'm gonna go work out at the gym instead of eating some donuts. See ya, News.
All right. So from everyone here at Walker News, have a great day.